How's it going? It's Matt McNeil, not coming to you from the garage. I'm actually in my office at the moment, and I'm looking at this skull mask that I sculpted several years ago. It was actually the first mask that I sculpted, really, when I got back into mask making after taking years and years and years and years away from it. I sculpted a lot of stuff when I was a kid, some throughout high school, and then a little bit in college. I made a few masks for my kids' Halloween, and that's what this started as. This was going to be a Jack Goodman mask for my son. And at the time that I was getting ready to sculpt this Jack Goodman mask for my kid, Jordy Shell went on Instagram and posted a video where he was talking about skulls and how a lot of people, when they sculpt skulls, like anatomical skulls, they always bake in an expression. Like they always look angry or evil or something like that. And he was talking about how real skulls aren't like that. They actually have sort of a sense of levity to them, maybe, I guess is the way to say it. They look forlorn or maybe even happy. And, you know, that comes from the eyebrows doing kind of like this thing and not building in any kind of expression in the mouth specifically. It just is a more friendly look than a lot of the kind of horror skulls that you see in mask making. So what I decided to do was to take on that challenge, and this is the mask that resulted from it. And then I took this mask and I sculpted on top of this sculpture a skin for the Jack Goodman, and I made a mold of that. And what I ended up with was basically a mask that wears a mask. So as you can see here, this is the Jack Goodman, what resulted from it. And if you look very, very carefully, so I can get a focus here, you can see this skull underneath this skin, right? And so the idea was that this would have a wig, and it's strapped on in the back with these Velcro straps. It had a mesh of fabric mesh so that it would hide my kid's mouth, so he didn't have to put makeup on his, you know, all over his face, maybe just around this eye. And anyway, COVID came along, and this was never worn. But I made a display version of this, which I actually intend to make a full-sized Jack for my theater room. I'm going to put him in the one of the back seats, one of the rows in the back. So anyway, that's what this mask was intended for. But he also ends up being a really nice painted up skull mask. So I use that for this skull, but then I also use these, if you guys have ever seen any of the, what I call latex bucket zombies, where I'm taking scraps of latex and kind of corpsing these guys out. This is the skull that I use as the basis for those, and it works really, really well to do all kinds of awesome different designs. Actually, I've got one in the other room. I should show it to you, but maybe at the end of this video. But what I really wanted to talk to you about, and the thing that really got me going on this, was for Christmas, my mom and my son asked me what I wanted from them for Christmas. And so I have been getting ads on Facebook incessantly for a couple of books. This book in particular, which is an anatomical book for artists. And just from the cover of this book, I can tell you how fantastic it is, because this is how my brain works in regard to sculpture. Once upon a time, I did some 3D animation and modeling. And if you look at the left side of this lady's face, you can see that it is built up of polygons, primitives, shapes, laid on top of each other in a very blocky sort of way. But what it tells me when you look at this is what are the angles that these polygons lie in. And for me, this is really, really helpful, particularly in these areas. You know, if you're sculpting something, it's really easy not to do this. It's really easy to take advantage and not really work all of the shapes that you necessarily should be working. Like this is a really interesting addition shape here, and rarely do you see on masks people people doing that. And so this book is fantastic in that regard, but not only on this sort of like cover idea, but these guys really break it down into, and they talk about it, if you want to do some reading, how primitive shapes make up sort of smoother forms. And as you go through this thing, they talk about eyebrows and eyelids and fat pads, and look at this. Oh my gosh. Like, do you know how, like, particularly these areas that run up into the nostrils, all of this stuff here, the shapes of the lips, look at this. Like how this plane here is kind of flat in the front. And you may go, well, I'm not doing human sculptures, I'm doing monsters. But you know what? If you take, for instance, let's say this ear, and you use this as a basic form for a werewolf ear. Well, these structures tell you anatomically, basically, how most creatures work. And as people, we see forms that are recognizable to us. And the more you can put something recognizable into it, something that informs anatomically something that would be correct, the more realistic what you are doing will be. But it's just, this book is chock full of awesome, I mean, look, oh my gosh, look at this. You see that? It's just page after page. Look at this. These sections of fat pads, look at this. This is amazing. Such a great book. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a sculptor and you're, looking for like basic anatomy stuff, this book is fantastic. The shapes of the neck. Oh my gosh, this is going to be, I'm just going to have to scour this thing over and over and over and over. But totally worth the price of admission on this head and neck book. And then if you want to take it one step further, there's this, which is the anatomy of facial expression. And this particular book talks about, and I haven't read it yet, I've just leafed through it, but all of these different, how these areas affect expression, right? So, flared nostrils versus a relaxed nostril, and what the structures are underneath the skin that cause that to happen. So if you're sculpting something and you lay your clay out like this, you're going to be able to get from this to this. And so they'll take a picture of like this dude's nose and then show you anatomically what's making that happen. So on this thing, look at this. People have that sort of balled up chin look. Well, who the heck knew that was going on? Look at this. It's amazing. Anyway, point being, when it comes to, oh my God, this is just so good. When it comes to references and stuff like that, these books are going to be invaluable. But I will tell you one thing. I, for Christmas, asked for the hard copy books, the hard copies, right? Softbacks, but the tangible, holdable versions of these books, which is great. My intention was to take these out into the garage, put them out there, get my clay dirtied hands all over them, leave fingerprints, rip out pages, like make a mess of these books. And that's great and all. But I will tell you in hindsight, I kind of wish, rather than getting this physical copy of this book, that I had them get me the PDFs. And because you can get a hardback, you can get the softback, which this is, or you can order the PDF, which I think you probably can download immediately from their website. And I think it's like $40, maybe, somewhere in that neighborhood per book. And if I were to get, if I were only going to buy one, I would definitely just buy this one, because of the way it lays out sort of that polygonal method of anatomy. This is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. This is really great. But I feel like you need to learn anatomy first before jumping into this expression stuff. But anyway, I wish I had gotten the PDF. And the reason I wish I'd gotten the PDF is because I can't zoom into this. Right? So what would be great is to be out there in the garage and be like, oh, I really want to see what the corner of her eye looks like. And getting closer and closer, right? So I feel like the PDF, as long as those images in the PDF are high res, and they're going to be more. They're going to be higher res than any kind of print that you could ever have. I could actually blow into those images and have my iPad out there, or even sling it. I have a TV in the garage, sling it to the TV and have it so that I'm literally looking at a close up of, whatever feature, this kind of stuff, like particularly in here. Look at this and how all this stuff is actuated. So anyway, point being, these two books are fantastic. Pick up the if you like tangible things like this, get the printed versions. But for my purposes, and if I had to do over again, I think I would have gone with the PDFs for the very reason that I mentioned about being able to blow into those the pictures, to be able to get really, really close to them and see all of that detail. But in any case, they're going to be invaluable, both of these books. And a lot of people say, you got to learn your anatomy when you start the sculpture stuff. And the reason for that is, if you're gonna, and a lot of people then go, well, but I'm doing aliens or I'm doing monsters. But the truth of the matter is, you got to know what the rules are before you break them. And these books are full of awesome, awesome rules. Just visual references for facial expressions, eyelids, lips, ears, all of it. So there you go. If you're on the fence about buying these books, and again, I have no dog in this hunt. These are just two of the things that I think I'm really going to get my money's worth out of, because I don't like spending money on stuff that proves to be invaluable. But I have a feeling that both of these references are going to be amazing. So there you go. Hope everybody is having a good start to the new year. And I'm going to get back out to the garage oh, there's Jerry. I'm going to get back out into the garage very, very soon and start sculpting again, because I got to figure out this scanner head. Yeah, there you go. Happy New Year. Talk to you soon.